All right, welcome back to the Team O'Neill Rally School. I'm Wyatt. What we're going to talk about today is how to disable some of the modern safety systems that may or may not be equipped in your vehicle, specifically anti-lock brakes, traction control, stability control, additionally airbags and things like that. Full disclaimer, there are a lot of really good reasons to leave all of this crap alone. You know, your car's going to be easier to drive, you won't void your warranty, or your insurance or something like that. But if you're looking at doing some serious high performance driving or stunt driving or rally driving or tactical driving or going to a demo derby or whatever it might be, we're going to look at some of those systems and how to get rid of them for racing purposes only. All right, so when you're looking at disconnecting any of this stuff, step one is go for your owner's manual and the fuse box. If you can pull a fuse for ABS or stability control, any of this stuff, and it's off, your life is easy. You know, if you just rented this car and you want to go have some fun, that is your first step. So owner's manual, fuse box. If you don't have the owner's manual for whatever reason, you might have to use the internet, but typically you're going to find a fuse box under the hood, such as there's a few in here and a bunch of relays and stuff. But in this car, the main fuse block is actually going to be under the glove box inside on the passenger. And this is super common with a lot of cars for it to be tucked away inside because it's, easy and out of the elements and everything stays dry and clean and happy. The easiest thing to do when you start to pull fuses, if you're in a big hurry and you got to move for some reason, pull all your ABS fuses and your stability control fuses and hope that it works. The better thing to do is to pull one and drive the car. See what happens. See if anything else is now also deactivated or not functioning, because then it's easier to pinpoint other additional problems that you may have just made for yourself. So if you've got the time, pull an ABS fuse, drive the car, slam on the brakes. If it works or it doesn't, you'll find there's usually several ABS fuses, often 3 of them, and maybe 1, maybe 2, maybe all 3 of those need to be removed for the ABS system to be non-functioning. Some of your brake bias, specifically front to rear and side to side and diagonally, is controlled by that ABS unit. So you may have deleted your ABS, but now you really want to feel what the brakes are like, and if the front brakes lock up real easy or if the rears lock up too easy, see what your brake bias is like. Most cars, it's still going to be pretty good, very drivable, really good on a slippery road, but sometimes, depending on your car, you might find that all of a sudden your brake balance is really wacky and you might need to do something else. All right, so if pulling the ABS fuses isn't getting you where you want to be, or it's disconnecting something else that you can't live with, your next step is to go for the ABS control unit, the ABS motor, the ABS valve body, whatever you want to call this, depending on what kind of vehicle you have. But you'll find that there is a large electronic connector on that, just like on an ECU or something. It's usually a little bit fiddly, the way that that connector works, but you unplug that and now you're definitely not going to have ABS. A lot of times, you're also not going to have stability control. So if your car's equipped with dynamic stability control, when a tire spins, the wheel speed sensor senses that, and that gets sent individual brake pressure to stop that wheel from spinning. If this whole unit is disconnected, that can no longer happen. So a lot of times, this is a super quick, easy fix to all of your troubles as far as ABS and stability control, is just to pull that one big connector and go hot. So one other thing that's pretty important, brake throttle override. If you're planning on left foot braking and doing different things, be aware that when you apply brake pressure, the car's going to electronically kill the throttle. Most modern cars are going to do this because of, a decade ago, you remember the floor mat gets stuck on the gas pedal and people couldn't stop the car and they were crashing. So that's what that's for. Typically, you can reach up from the brake pedal up that stalk and there's going to be 2 connectors. One's for your brake lights and the other one is that ECU throttle cut. Easy to troubleshoot, if you can have somebody look at your brake lights or if you can test drive the car real quick, pull the one connector, see what happens, and either you got the right one or the wrong one, you got a 50-50 chance. It only takes a minute to figure that out and you can disconnect that in most modern vehicles really easily. All right, so this is a slightly older car. If you're trying to disable some of this stuff, it's actually really easy. In a newer car, specifically disabling stability control can be a big problem. One of the easy ways to do that, if nothing else has worked for you, is to find the yaw sensor. It's going to be just a small box, Typically, it's near the center mass of the vehicle. So if you looked here and went down somewhere in this area, you can unplug that. And a lot of times that will kill stability control. Other things you can do, you've got a steering angle sensor that's linked into all of that. You can just unplug that and see what happens. Test drive the car, see where you get. The next easiest thing to do is go to your wheel speed sensors. Any fairly modern car is going to have wheel speed sensors in and around the hub area somewhere on the inside, and disconnecting some or any or all of those things are definitely going to throw that stability control system for a loop. And disconnect something, take it for a test drive. If that didn't work, put it back, disconnect something else. You might find you have to have two things disconnected. Whatever it is, usually if you've got an hour or two and you can play with the car and a few basic tools, you can get this stuff off all pretty easily. All right, so if you've got the ABS and traction control and stability control and everything shut off in this, it's gonna be a lot more fun than it was, out on the track or drifting around or whatever you're doing out there. One additional thing that we always do with race cars, if you're building, with a roll cage and full belts and harnesses and stuff, or for stunt driving or tactical driving or whatever it is, we disconnect the airbags. And the main reason for that is if you spin out or bump into something, or even just hitting a big speed bump or going through a ditch, those airbags can deploy and it's pretty ugly. So if you're thinking about deactivating the airbags in a car like this, the first thing you need to do is disconnect the battery and actually take the positive and negative terminals off and connect them together. That'll get rid of any remaining charge and sort of static electricity and all of that stuff. Because even a little bit of electricity, cutting those wires and making a connection, those airbags can deploy. If you're inside the car and working on it when that happens, or in between the airbag and something else, it can be really dangerous. Once the battery's disconnected, the easiest thing to do is to find the airbag control module, which is going to look like a small ECU. And the thing about airbags is all manufacturers, all of that wiring is yellow. So if you're building a race car and you're digging through stuff and you're not sure what's what, you're gonna find there's sensors in the front bumper, sensors in the back bumper, and yellow sheathed wires going all the way back in. You'll see there's a little brain that all of those yellow wires go to. Disconnect that thing. Typically you're good to go. The only other major thing that we do that sort of falls into this category that you might want to consider doing, if this is going to be a race car, a drift car, or something like that, we'll almost always disconnect any security systems that were involved with the ignition wiring and all of that other stuff. Often we'll disable the door locks, just pull the tumblers out. Often we'll disable the ignition so you don't need a key, or have that tucked away somewhere. There's nothing worse, and it happens all the time. Somebody gets a race car to the track or something like that, and you can't have the key. You lock the key in it. Somebody else has the key, whatever it might be. Or, just dealing with safety and security systems with racing cars can be a real pain in the butt. If this is just something that you take to the track once in a while, it's nice to have a security system. It's nice to have your little key fob and be able to unlock the doors and that kind of thing from a distance. But eventually that'll end up biting you in the butt a little bit. So typically with a race car, we just get rid of all of that. I'm not even going to get into it because, an older car like this, it's very easy, but it's probably something that you're going to want an expert to tackle. If you just pull everything associated with the security system out of your car, chances are it's not going to start. So have somebody who knows what they're doing take a look at that. But definitely consider getting rid of your door locks, changing your ignition with the key to, a fuel pump toggle and stuff like that, and a push button. Just for simplicity's sake, you always know where it's going to work. All right, so that's the basics. Thanks for watching. You can't stress enough, older vehicles, this is easy. If you're into newer vehicles, the more simple base models are gonna be a lot easier than some of the higher end stuff. If you go rent a Toyota Corolla, pull a few fuses in the parking lot and you can still go hot. Where if you go buy a modern European car, it can be a real pain in the butt. Most of this you can do on your own with a few minutes with a vehicle, start chasing the fuse box and work your way down the list from there, and you should be good to go. So thanks for watching. I've been Wyatt. This is the Team O'Neill Rally School. Come on out and visit us sometime. If you're interested in some of the courses, you can drive any of these cars. Check out teamoneil.com. If you're into this kind of stuff, more mechanical and kind of driving skills related stuff, consider subscribing to the channel. It's been fun, and we'll catch you next time. you.